Welcome to the Unshakeable Talks with me, Katy Schweiger. This is not just another podcast. This is your girls' chat for business women. I'm going to speak to women in business, and we're not just going to have a normal conversation. We're speaking about what it really takes to build a business, to scale a business, why we are doing business, and what are the real challenges. What are the things no one actually talks out loud? What are the things which are holding us back? And what are the things which are really driving us to do what we're doing? So I believe running a business as a woman isn't harder, but it is different. So it's time we actually start talking about it. Let's get into it. On today's episode of the Unshakeable Talks, I'm speaking to Nikki. Nikki is a business coach, but also known as the Good Girl Slayer. And what that means is she's taking you from being a good girl to the convicted woman. And you really have to listen to this episode. Welcome to the Unshakeable Talks, Nikki.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited about today, honestly.
Me too. We're going to have such a good conversation because you are the convicted woman. But before we get into this, I want to take it a little bit back and want to tell the listeners, who was Nikki before?
So now I'm referred to as Good Girl Slayer.
Yeah.
And in order to slay the good girl, I had to have been the good girl.
Yeah.
But it's uncanny because I didn't even know that I wouldn't have referred to myself as a good girl. I just thought that's just who I am. Mm-hmm. And it's only sort of looking back and realising the detriment that can come when you are subject to good girl conditioning, to rules that don't serve you. And I was just this person that just always wanted to fit in. Mm-hmm. And I didn't fit in even visually, physically, because I went to a school where I was the only black girl in the entire school of over 1,000 pupils. So I clearly stood out physically. Yeah. And imagine you want to fit in, but you physically don't fit in.
Yeah, that's really hard.
And also I was so much taller than everybody else. They're not even just in my sort of skin colour, skin tone, but just size.
Yeah.
And I had glasses. And if anyone knows, National Health, free glasses, plastic things. So everything that I wanted to blend in, there were just things about me that I couldn't change in that moment and didn't want to change now looking back, just meant that I stood out and for the wrong reasons. And I think because of that, there was this desire to blend in my opinions, my thoughts, what I liked, what I didn't like. Because I thought, well, if I can't do anything about the fact that I'm taller than everybody else, I'm wearing these glasses, I am black, that's just who I am. Okay, I'm just going to fit in. If they like My Little Pony, I do. If they like that, I do. Even if I might have literally hated it.
Yeah.
Right, so that was just who I was growing up in school. And that continued throughout sort of high school, and then you've got sort of those awkward teenage years when you're trying to figure out who you are, but then you're still trying to blend in as well.
Because we have to, don't we? Because if we're not blending in to a certain extent, life gets really hard. Yeah. And it's still the case in adulthood. It's still the case now. It never, ever goes away. So you've just learned to blend in from a very early age, and you've continued that behavior pattern you created stuck with you for so long.
100%.
But I feel like it can go in two ways. A lot of the times I speak to women where this really held them back in life in terms of achieving anything, and they really entered a really low phase within their life. But that wasn't the case for you, because you had a successful career in the pharmaceutical field. So tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, I sort of fell into that career actually. So I went to university, got a job. I was there temporary for a period of time, a large pharmaceutical company that I was working in, and then I just ended up staying there for a decade, progressing through sales into training, marketing roles. So I was there for 2 decades overall and did really well in that career. I almost think that I could have done so much more. So even though I did well, I think that some of the beliefs and patterns I had to get my head down, because that was culturally something that was very, very prevalent. Get your head down, your work will show for itself, which is absolutely nonsense. But that's how I lived. I thought if I work really hard, everybody will see it. They'll notice it. They'll figure it out. Needless to say, they did not figure it out. And I would see people who would be progressing, doing less, but shouting about what they were doing.
I was
so
just about
much
to
more,
say, yeah.
but they were actually not doing very much at all. And then I sort of figured it out. I was like, wow, I've got it the wrong way around. It's not get your head down and work the hardest. It's actually be more strategic and do the work, but be prepared to shout out about your achievements. And that's now why I'm so big on like celebration and talking about things.
Yeah, you are so big on this, and I absolutely love that about you. I know you for quite a while, and I definitely have seen the progression in this within how you show up for yourself over the last 18 months, I would say.
Yeah.
It's been a huge improvement. So, but obviously coming from this career in pharmaceutical, you almost had a catalyst moment when you were made redundant.
Yeah.
So tell me about this moment, because that was your catalyst in doing what you're doing now.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think, in fact, I pretty much know that if I hadn't have gotten that opportunity, as I now see it, I would have just been either in the same company or would have moved to another company because it was just comfortable.
Yeah.
It was a very, very comfortable existence. I got paid really well. I had like car, all the packages and benefits that you could ever imagine. And so why would I leave that to go into the uncertain? And the other thing is, growing up in my family and in my circle that I could see, people didn't own businesses.
Yeah.
People just had good, honest jobs, whether that's like in banks or in healthcare or whatever it was. And that was just what I saw. And so it would never have occurred to me to think I could be that person who would run their own business. And so it just didn't ever occur to me. It's only that opportunity was like, oh, I've got a little bit of breathing space because I just had a cushion, essentially. And I was able to sit back and go, I don't know what it was. I don't know what made me slow down, because I was one of those people that literally ran a mile a minute. But for some reason, I felt compelled in my gut to just take a pause. I didn't apply for any other jobs. I didn't put my CV out. I just thought, something is telling me to sit back and think about what's next. I didn't think business straight away. I was like, let me just sit and think about what's next.
What was next?
Well, at first, I then decided to do a few courses, not because I thought it would get me somewhere, but because I actually thought, can I do something for me? Like something that isn't like, I'm going to do this certificate to get paid more and to get the next promotion and all of that. So I did a breathwork qualification because I was always quite an anxious kind of person, and I thought that would really help me, and I was interested in it. So I did that. I did a mindfulness meditation. Like, I literally was just doing things I don't want to say find myself, because that's like really cliche, but that is, looking back.
But you helped yourself with this as well. You 100%. Learned something to deal with. Obviously, if you've been an anxious person, the breath work is a natural fit, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And so the mindfulness fit in. And then I decided to do a coaching qualification because I'd been a line manager for years in my previous corporate career, but had never taken any sort of formal coaching qualifications apart from like the odd 1 or 2 days that they send you on in the company, and it's not anything in depth. But I loved supporting my team to rise. And I thought, wow, imagine if I could do that for other people. And I never imagined like what it would turn to. And I literally have been putting one foot in front of the other for like 3 years. Like, it's been, I didn't have some grand master plan.
It's been a crazy ride though, hasn't it?
I think that is an understatement. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I wasn't walking in your shoes, but I was watching from the outside, and I definitely saw that you've been taking one step at the time, and I absolutely love this about your journey, because so many of us trying to skip the steps. So I love that about you. But let's go back to the trying to fit in, trying to kind of just do what we know we should be doing, what people around us are doing. That sounds very much like people pleasing.
Yeah, 100%.
To me. And I know that you see yourself as a recovering people pleaser, or like an old people pleaser. That was very much you, wasn't it? That was part 100%. Of your identity, which was very prominent.
Yeah, I think it's a key And I think a lot of people, if they've been awake in society, they probably have picked up so many of these similar patterns and behaviours. It's just that it comes in a different costume and it's dressed up as like just being kind, just being considerate, just being diligent, just being hardworking. But actually underneath that is something a lot more sinister.
Yeah.
And it comes into business. And so for me, the the people-pleasing element has really... It's one of those things that I don't think... It doesn't go away. The more you move forward in business and you take yourself to an edge, it's like it shows up in a different format.
Yeah.
You're faced with a new challenge. So one of the things that I talk a lot about is it's not about it never turning up. It's about you being so sharp and so able to bring it to a level of consciousness that you can actually choose with intention to go in the opposite direction to what your patterns and behaviours tell you. That is winning. Not that it never turns up. If it never turns up, it means you're probably staying way too comfortable.
Where you are, yeah. And I think that's the difference, isn't it? After doing the work, you can spot those things and you can actually move in the
almost in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. But so we went from the good girl to the convicted woman. And you actually developed like 5 archetypes of the good girl. And I would like you to really talk to me about those, because I think it's genius and it makes so total sense when we had one conversation about this. But I would really like you to talk about this in a bit more depth for the audience, because I think a lot of women will see themselves in either one or two, or maybe in all of them.
Yeah. Wonderful, thank you. And I think this has been one of those parts of your body of work that you only really name when you look back on it.
Yes.
Because the 5 archetypes that I'm about to share with you are 5 faces and 5 different ways that good girl conditioning and behaviour can show up in your life and in your business. And so the way that I see everything is when we are slaying a particular part of good girl, we are not just saying, let's get rid of that. We're saying, let's also embody the empowered version of that. It's almost like 2 sides of a coin. So one side is the good girl archetype that I'm about to share. And on the other side is, okay, well, if we're not that, what are we? Oh, we are an empowered version of that. So the first archetype is the permission seeker. And that is the people pleaser all over. She seeks permission for literally everything, even if she knows deep down what is the right thing to do. But the more that she does that, she actually knows less about what is the right thing to do, because she loses touch with what she really enjoys, what she really wants. And underneath all of that is an erosion of confidence and conviction and certainty. And those are the very things that you need in business. If you are uncertain, if you lack belief, if you lack this sense of, I am so passionate about this, and you feel like you're wavering, nobody wants that. They go to the next person. So it does impact you. So when you are this permission seeker, you follow all rules. You don't question any rules. If your mentor earns more, she must know better. She says that's the way to go and build my business. Well, that's what I must do. This trend is happening. I must follow that. And you end up building this business and this life that actually you don't even recognize. And so the permission seeker, the opposite side of the coin, is the trailblazer. And the trailblazer is the one who actually realizes that she's always going to be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's this ability to realize that no matter what the outcome is, I can figure it out. And I'm going to get more trust in myself when I actually take action and prove that I'm still surviving after I did that thing, even if it went horribly wrong. So it's like, it's the opposite of, I'm going to question rules. I'm going to look at, is that rule serving me? Does that way of building a business in life align with what I want to do? No, okay, I'm going to do something else. And that is super powerful, to have a person who's able to have almost like discernment, really. It's a fancy way of saying discernment. So it's like, I'm going to blaze a new trail. But the bit I want to say here is that the trail doesn't have to be revolutionary. The trail doesn't have to mean I'm changing the entire makeup of the industry. It can literally be a small tweak, a small veer to the left or right. That's a new trail.
I actually think, I really truly believe, it is very often just a very small trail. It's those little changes we are making, those little subconscious decisions we are making in the moment to do it a different way, or to maybe go a little bit more right or left on our journey, which make the biggest impact.
It is those micro moments, those micro shifts. And that is essentially how we progress in life, by doing little by little each day. So that's the permission seeker, the trailblazer. Question rules, learn to have more trust in yourself, and realize that you're not always going to make everybody happy. So the trailblazer is the one who is willing to be misunderstood by many, to be understood by the few.
That's me.
Like, it's like, are you willing that a whole host of people may not like what you have to say? But you know that when you say that in its truest form, that your people that you're meant to be here to support and serve in this world, are going to literally lean so far in and be so into you that it's all worth it.
But it's really hard though, isn't it?
Yes, 100%.
Because I feel like this is almost like the hardest. Yeah. Because you almost running the risk to leave everything else behind.
Yeah. And I think a good example is niching. Mm-hmm. And I've had this conversation with a lot of clients around, they know deep down that they want to serve this very specific type of person. Yeah. But like, well, what about all the other people? Like, listen, there's a lot of the people that you want to serve. And if you try and serve everyone, you try and be for everyone, you serve no one. And I get that we all know that, but when it comes down to it, it's harder. So the second one is the chameleon. The chameleon is the one who just wants to blend in, wants to like not even be seen. It's like, 50 little blackbirds all on a line, but then there's this yellow bird, right? And the yellow bird, who's that? That's the siren. That's the one that's like, I am willing to stand out, to be bright, to be loud or to be quiet. It's not the person who swears like a trooper if they don't.
Yeah.
That's blending in, actually.
That is blending in, yeah.
Because if you're like, well, I see this 7-figure coach, she swears like a trooper, so that means I need to swear like a trooper.
Yeah.
If that's not you, please don't do it. It's very inauthentic and it feels weird. Whereas the siren is like, I'm really well-spoken, I don't swear. I do. But I'm just saying, like, for other people, right? But if it's like knowing who you are and being willing to be that, whatever that is. And the other really important thing is being willing to change your mind.
Yes, like I had to really learn this.
Yeah.
Learn this. I pride myself now that I'm quite easily being able to change my mind. Yeah. But it's still something which sat really sour with me for a long time, when I had to admit. I can't actually tell you why that is. It's just, maybe it's because I'm quite often right. If my family's listening to this podcast, they're going to say, yes.
Did you hear that?
Did you hear that? No, but I am quite often right. And if you're then being proven wrong, it's almost like, no. Yeah. This is how I feel. And I think you have to almost separate on how you feel about something than what it actually is. And it's a skill to learn. Yeah,
it definitely is. It's like story and fact. It's like with anything in business, taking it to there, it's like, okay, if you look at something, you're not happy with the outcome, a launch, a decision that you made, an increase that you did, whatever that you've decided to do, the important thing that I teach in my work is separating story from fact. It's like the fact is 8 people were there. That's factual. Nobody's arguing with that. What you decide that means about 8 people being there and not 80 is a different thing. And I think for me, it's like what you were saying about the change in your mind. It is almost being able to say that as I grow and evolve, I will change my mind. Yeah. And when you do that, I think, Katy, what happens is you can actually be more, you can move at a quicker pace.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Because you're not like, well, what if I decide to launch this offer or put this product out, this service? What if it doesn't? Well, it doesn't matter.
Because also in turn, you then don't seek permission subconsciously from anyone else. And I think this is probably what it is for me, because we're speaking a lot about the online industry. I was completely new to the online industry, and I found it really hard to navigate. Because I'm quite real. I have like a real view about business. I'm coming from a different business background, and a lot of things didn't make sense to me. They were very fictional, very like pulled out of thin air. There wasn't any I'm trying to find nice words to say about it. But then my conscious clicked in where I'm thinking, you're selling an illusion to vulnerable people here. So then my morals kicked in, and I'm like, but I can't say this because maybe I don't understand it, maybe I don't not have the facts about it, and I make a wrong statement, and I'm going to be judged on this. So there's a whole lot of emotions which come with this, don't they?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that when you think about this idea of changing your mind, when you're able to know that I can change my opinion, I can have contradictory opinions, because we're very complex beings.
Oh, yeah.
It just means that you don't spend so much time faffing, is the only way that I would just say, right? And because you just move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost also the interesting part about society and us as people, that we are so different. And we can only have challenging conversations, for example, if we are able to change our mind.
Yes.
And be open to seeing a different perspective.
Yeah.
So it's a super important skill to learn. I'm not saying that I've never was able to do it, but it's definitely something where I had to struggle, because do you know what I also struggled with? And I think we talked about this before. Because changing your mind is probably a problem what a lot of people have, specifically when you've been conditioned all of your life to think a certain way or to act a certain way. I think in order to change my mind, I have to ask questions.
Yeah.
That's how I work in terms of understanding something. I need to know a different perspective on things. I would like to have the facts, or like to understand where you're coming from, why you're trying to convince me that what I'm saying is wrong and it should be different. But I almost feel like nowadays in society you can often not ask those questions. And this is where I've noticed in myself, I held back. Because I felt like I can't ask certain questions for whatever reason. So I'm not going to change my mind on this, because...
Yeah, which is a shame, which is why I like to create spaces where we can ask questions.
Me too.
And that then just makes for so much more richness in our environment. Like, we've literally got one life on this planet, and it's like, I'm happy for someone to change my mind. Right. And I'm the kind of person that will own that. So I used to host a REST membership about a year ago, or less than that now. And now I'm completely, it's not that I don't think that you should rest, but what I do think is that there's a lot of opinion out there on the online space about people who have achieved success. And they suggest that it's done in this sort of soft girl, sort of approach. And I felt that there was an element of how I saw things that was almost feeding into that. And I realised that if I want to achieve something, I'm going to have to work hard. And I'm not going to be able to sit on a hammock and swing all day for a while, right? And so that was a bit of a realisation for me. And I owned that publicly as well. So I realised I haven't got down, but it's like the third archetype is perfectionist versus the visionary. So the perfectionist is like, need to know all the steps, got to get it perfect. Clearly she procrastinates, she delays things, things often. She then feeds into her lack of confidence. On the other side is the visionary. The visionary is like, I know where I'm going, and I don't need to know exactly how I'm going to get there. And I'm okay with that. So then she is able to make so much more progress, accelerate further. And then I think the fourth one from that is this woman who's like a superwoman. Tries to carry it all, do everything, not ever really seek any support, advice, always try to carry everything on her back. And the opposite of that is the Empress, the one who's like, doesn't sit back and do nothing, obviously, but realises that she's regal inherently, and realises that actually her worthiness means that she can and should seek advice, support, community, sisterhood, whatever that looks like for her. And that's important in the spaces that I create. And then the fifth person is the overachiever. This is another big one. The overachiever is the one that's like, I always feel behind. I'm never enough. Even if every milestone I set in business is achieved, I'm on to the next. I don't even celebrate the fact that I wanted this for 4 years. I've got it and I'm on to the next. And you think it's like ambitious. it's not actually helping, because when you constantly feel inadequate, it's like, wow, where's the joy? Where's the appreciation? Where's the gratitude? So the overachiever feels like behind and not enough. The opposite of that is the icon. It's like, I'm going to relish and celebrate every single step, even the stuff that's about, like, that isn't visible to other people. It's my courage, my inputs. And that is what gives and literally causes this domino effect that I've seen in my own business in the last 4 months from doing this.
Would you say, like, every single archetype you described, I can see myself in that? Not necessarily now in the present, other than the icon and the empress, but throughout my journey, throughout my life, throughout my business journey, which has been long, I can literally see myself in every single one of them. Would you say that this is very common within women, or is it usually like one or two out of them who are presented more often in the women you work with?
Thinking about the women I work with, there generally is what I like to call like an arch nemesis, like a Achilles heel. Like one or two of them will be present and around even now in your business. Yeah. And the job that I see for me is to figure out how is that showing up in your pricing, your decision making, your marketing, your messaging, your client spaces, all of those things. But they probably will, as you say, have been able to recognize themselves in all of them at some point. And in the future, they can turn up in a new costume. Yeah. But it's always tends to be one, maybe two that are the ones that we're focusing on. And that tends to be, I've noticed so far, like the permission seeker and the perfectionist. Yeah. And sometimes the overachiever. I would say that those three are the ones that I talk about most with my clients, and the ones that I see in myself as well. Yeah.
So let's go back to your business, because you just said specifically in the last 4 months, there has been a huge amount of growth within your business. You are someone who has definitely pivoted within your business. So I love pivoting. I think pivoting is essential when you want to grow of growth. Yes. Nothing is linear and straightforward. But there's a lot of people who see pivoting as like, oh, you can't make your mind up, or failure, or anything like this. So how does this sit with you? Because you have pivoted, and the way I look at you is, if you wouldn't have pivoted, you wouldn't have sit here now. Never. It's saying exactly what you're saying, standing for what you're standing for. So for me, that is a huge sign of growth, and in the most positive way. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how that was for you. Not a little bit, actually. Tell me in detail.
Okay, of course. I think we've got to go back to June of last year.
Yes, please.
So that's almost a year ago now. 11 months ago. I can't believe that. That's quite wild. June was a moment where I'd been in business in total about 2.5 years. And to be honest, I just carried a lot of shame at that point. A lot of shame that I thought I should be further along. Like a lot of shame. I even think about it now just makes me quite teary just to think about. I just constantly thought, I was like, why am I not further? I need to be further along. Like, everybody else is further along. I've invested so much time, so much money. Put in so much effort, and obviously now I look back and some of the effort was in the wrong places, but that's not the point. At that point, I was
you still put effort in. You weren't sitting on the sofa eating crisps and drinking Coca-Cola. You were, other drinks are available, but you were putting the craft in.
I really was. And I think I got to a point where I was like, okay, there's a crossroads now. I have to either figure something seriously out, something has to change, or I need to go back and get a job in the corporate space.
So let's sit with this for a second.
Oh, even saying that makes me feel like...
Yes, because I want to sit with this for a second, because I hear this all the time. And I just had a friend a few weeks ago saying to me, when I actually made a post out of it. And she said, I feel like I need to get a part-time job at Marks and Spencer's. And I said, the only way you and me are going to walk into Marks and Spencer's is to get picky bits, not a job application. But I also think, and I know for a fact, we all feel like this at some point. Yeah. There's always this moment where things don't progress as fast as we feel like they should, or an unexpected hurdle or comes up where we think, what the hell am I doing?
I know.
Is this actually going to work out?
Yeah.
Is this what I'm meant to be doing? Am I completely illusional? Like all of those kind of questions. It's completely normal, isn't it?
I think, and it is, but I think in June, I'd had those feelings before, but they were fleeting. They were like, oh, and then I would be okay. But this was different. This really felt like I was at a bit of a crossroads.
Yeah.
And I think I even noted down the phone numbers of some pharmaceutical recruitment agencies that I used to like connect with before. So I was kind of really getting
You were ready.
I was ready. I think I had their numbers in my phone and all of that.
What has changed? What made you not pick up the phone to call them?
I think it's because I made the decision. I was like, I'm going to give myself one more chance. I'm really going to go for it. And I'm going to build some of the foundations of business and not be focusing on the glossy stuff that everyone tells you that you need, actually that you do not need. And I just went back to the basics, having a core offer, having an entryway for people to come in, a free way for people, like all the basic stuff. I mean, I did marketing for over a decade you'd think I would know some of this stuff, but you know, I didn't, and I kind of got lost along the way.
Yeah, you get carried away from everything else you see. And if we look, we all see people or like certain people as an inspiration. And if it works for them, why shouldn't it work for me? Yeah. So it's completely normal that we get carried away with
that. That is exactly what I did. And so I had a conversation with a coach, and we had a conversation about, okay, what do you really want? Because I was doing this breath work and rest and mindfulness, and that really wasn't at the core what I wanted to do. It's still tools that I use for myself, and actually I'm going to be bringing it more into my spaces as resources now. And I've actually realised I've probably gone the other way and left it behind, and I want to bring it back because I'm trained in EFT. I've done like breath work. I want to bring that in. But in that conversation, it was like, right, okay, I'm going to make this pivot and I'm going to move into, I think at the time I said, I want to get to the subconscious reasons as to why somebody is like not moving. Yeah. And even though they've got all the strategy, all the messaging, all this other stuff, maybe there's tweaks, but there's something internal. And I knew it was subconscious. And I think I named my Telegram group Subconscious Queens. And this is how I move, Katy. I don't delay. I'm like, I don't mind if I have to change it. It's called Subconscious Queens. It is that now.
You really don't. Let's stop there again. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but this is such an important thing to mention. You really do not mind when you change it. You're very open with this. Yeah. You're not just painting this glossy picture. No. And that's something we need to see much more of, specifically in the online world, but also something I really, really admire and value you for.
Thank you.
I really do, because I think. And I'm really trying to be like this. And I had a really good conversation about money, for example, with someone. And we said, why are we women so afraid to talk about money? Are we making it? Are we not making it? Yes. Are we inflating numbers? Are we not? What does it actually take? Yes. And I said to her, because we were talking about my business, and there is a pivot coming within my business and everything. So I said, well, I have no problems being honest about this. I said, I stopped my one-to-one work to concentrate on my pivot. So right now I'm not making any money. I'm investing heavily. And obviously that comes with certain things. And I'm really happily admitting this, because I have a purpose of why I'm doing this. I made a very intentional decision to do this. But we tend to not speak about those things.
No, people don't.
And it's really, I think actually we're doing ourselves and the women around us a disservice.
Yeah, and I think that's why I want to be that for other people.
Yeah.
So I spoke about having my lowest month ever in June, and that being the catalyst to change, and then bringing that back up to like earning like multi 4 figures literally 3 months later, closing down my membership at the end of the year, going to 0 MRR in January, and then bringing it back up less than 90 days later to 4 figures of MRI, which has kept growing. And because of my willingness to move before the proof is there. And that is the convicted woman. It's like, I am moving. I'm investing in a way that may seem slightly wild to the outside person. But because I just truly believe it. And you know what? If I'm later proven wrong, I'm okay. But I'm okay with that. Yeah. I because I know that I would have followed what felt right for me. So Absolutely. That's never wrong.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another thing you said in the conversation we had, which I absolutely love, which feeds into this. Obviously, within the online space, we tend to start with either one-to-one or group programs. And you have launched group programs before, which ended up then being one-to-ones because there wasn't a group signing up to the program.
Yeah.
A lot of women would have not done the program and would have seen this as huge failure, but you saw it as, okay, one person signed up, so it's a one-to-one now, so I'm still being convicted in what I want to teach and do and what I want to create, and I'm creating it. And it didn't just happen once, it happened twice.
Yes.
And you still continued.
Yeah. I think the word for me is relentless. I am relentless. So I have lots of doubt, lots of wobbles, and I always talk about them, actually. So nobody's ever surprised.
Yeah.
But what they know about me is like I have a grit.
Yes.
And a relentlessness. And so I did those 2 group programs that ended up being one-to-ones. Right? And
lucky them.
Lucky. They were lucky, right?
Them.
And then literally November, I was like, I'm launching the Convicted Woman. And I think October, I had my first person in. So that wasn't new. That was like, oh, this is the same thing again.
Yeah.
But I could have decided that was it. I was like, no, there's going to be another person. Another person joined at the end of October. Both of them started in November. They've both re-signed for another 6 months. I've now got another 3 people that have joined into that space, literally in the last less than 2 months. So it's
a compounding effect,
growing, and I know that this is just the beginning. And if I had never been willing to start the Convicted Woman with one person, I wouldn't be sat here with 5 women now who I'm just cannot wait to support for the next 6 months.
And this is so important. I want everyone listening and watching this to know has to be a starting point somewhere. No one starts with a group program full of 10, 15 people. No. There is always a progression to this, however that may look like. That maybe is like in your marketing investment and how you show up. There's always something. No one I hate those posts. Sold out my mastermind in like 10 days.
Yeah.
No,
and I've got
you
a waiting
did
list
not.
of 50 people.
No, you did not. You are lying. And we're feeding into this false narrative, which brings out all the insecurities within ourselves. So I would really like to applaud you for your honesty, because we need to see much more of this.
I did a post the other day about the fact that I did a 4-week program that had 2 people in it.
Yeah,
it was a mid-ticket sort of program. And a lot of people would say, it's only 2. It's only 2. And they would feel shame. They would feel all sorts. But what you're doing is you're actually making things worse for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to serve them to the highest level. You're going to have this feeling that you're going to harbour. It changes how you show up. I showed up, there were 200 people in there. I showed up and showed out. And both of those women converted into my mastermind. I'd rather have that than 50 people in a program, none of whom ever worked with me again. Yes. So we've got to have a different perspective about things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I absolutely love this about you. And I know we're getting a bit of a sneak peek, but you're also holding an event very soon. Well, It's not a sneak peek by the time this episode goes out. Yes. Actually, you have sold out your VIPs already for the event, which I'm so proud of.
Thank you, Katy.
It was I was following it along. I mean, I'm everyone's biggest cheerleader, but particularly for you, I absolutely love that, because I know how hard you work for this and how convicted you are with this. Yeah. And by the time this episode airs, we have 2 more weeks until your actual event. So tell me about what the event is all about, because I want those tickets to they may be sold out, so you may have to get a bigger venue after this episode. But I want everyone to come to your event, because I think... Tell us about what it is all about.
Oh, thank you so much. Honestly, I just feel so grateful. So the event is called Reclaim Her Live. And Reclaim Her is literally the journey that I have been on. Like, since that awful time in June when I was at my lowest point in business. And I was literally in the car driving through West London, just beside myself with like not knowing what to do. Yeah. I have taken myself on a journey to reclaim who I was meant to be before the school system said I should blend in, before the people said I should bend my head so I didn't look too tall in photos, before I should like take off my glasses, pretend to be blind so that I didn't have to have these, and like all these things I had to do to shapeshift to fit in, and I never fitted in. And when I then began to realize I have something that people want, I have a skill that I'm meant to give, and I'm meant to support people to be able to get out of their own way, to be the reason that their business succeeds, not the reason why it fails. And that is what Reclaim Her is about. It's about reclaiming who you are meant to be before society, before religion, culture, family, the industry that you're in, before it kind of shoved all of these extra layers on you as weighing you down. If you can just take some of them off, and that will be the reason why you get to your next level, whether that's 6 figures, multi 6 figures, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It is about you being the reason why you succeed and not the reason why that you don't. And that's what Reclaim Her is. And it is going to be epic. It's going to be an immersive experience. I'm going to be taking them through my 5 conviction codes, which I haven't covered here, but these are 5 levers that you pull.
Keep it secret.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not going to give everything away. You're going to have to come to the event to know about it.
So 5 conviction codes. And the idea behind it is that you are the source of what you want, not anything on top. That's like the cherry on top. And so Reclaim Her is my journey, and I'm taking people through that journey to uncover and then reclaim who they're actually meant to be in their business. So
I absolutely love that.
Excited about it.
And it's in July.
In July the 14th, yeah.
July the 14th. So I can't wait. I'm actually going to get my ticket after we stop recording for this. No, I will, because I looked at it and I absolutely love what you stand for. And I have a free slot in my calendar in July, so I will be coming. No, don't cry. Don't you dare cry. But I'm going to put you on the spot now because guess what? We're coming to the end for the episode.
Oh my God, it's been so much fun.
I know, we can talk for ages. I would love to throw a few fire questions at you, if you don't mind. So your convicted woman is willing to be misunderstood, willing to be cancelled, willing to stand out. But conviction costs women socially in a way it rarely costs men. Are we asking women to be brave in an environment that's still punishing them for it?
You know what? There is always a trade-off. And I believe that if we are to get what we came here for, to get the bag, whatever that is for us, it doesn't have to be monetary. I do think there has to be an element of bravery. And I obviously talk about convicted woman, good girl. I think that there are elements of, men who are not saying what they really
absolutely
feel. So I actually think that if we can make this behaviour more standard, then actually maybe we can understand each other better. Maybe we can get along more. That's how I feel.
Yes, I completely agree with you. One more, okay? Okay, so you launched a group program twice, and both times it collapsed into a one-to-one because only one woman signed up. That's the quiet reality behind half the scale into groups, the memberships, the 6 figures, advice flooding the industry. Are most women being sold a growth blueprint that strategically only works for the woman selling it?
I think a lot of the time I would absolutely say yes. I think a lot of the time we follow these rules. Somebody else has made them up retrospectively. So they've thrown spaghetti at the wall enough times. Oh, that sticks. I'm going to call it the ABCD program.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is like, oh, we all need the ABCD program.
Yeah.
But when we realise that, we can use it to our advantage because we can make the ABCD program.
Yeah.
We can make our own rules.
Yes.
And that is like much more empowering to me.
So true.
Yeah.
I like to end this episode with a question I asked everyone. If you could go back and give younger Nikki one brutally honest piece of advice when it comes to business, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good one. I have this idea that we need to believe that anything and everything is possible and let go of the timeline, unclench the bum cheeks. So by that I mean every single day, get up and believe that anything and everything is possible and release the timeline. So the reason I say that is because the next day, if it didn't happen on that day before, we have to be able to have a fresh sheet again to go, anything and everything is possible, but I'm going to release the timeline and I'm going to be open to it. Those two things seem at odds, but they are just both needed every single day. And that's what I do every single day.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on the Unshakeable Talks.
Thank you.
I had so much fun.
Thank you so much, Katy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Unshakeable Talks. Please make sure to give us a follow and come back next week for another great conversation with another amazing woman. But I also want you to come to my event I'm hosting very soon. If you like listening to my episodes, if you like meeting the women I'm putting onto Unshakeable Talks, you will absolutely love my event because you're actually going to be in the room with the women from the podcast or women who do similar things. Tickets are only £10 and everything goes to charity. A charity I've chosen because it aligns fully with the values of the Unshakeable Talks and with myself. The link is in the show notes. Get your ticket now.